Hello, and welcome to Time About the Movies Flashback. We're flashing back today to June 13th, 1986. Friday the 13th, if you will. But luckily, we don't have a Friday the 13th movie this week. We had that later on in the year, but we have a pretty solid weekend for movies in general. No real misfires here, and case in point with our first movie we have here, Rodney Dangerfield in the classic comedy Back to School.
The brain is a beautiful thing. Is this all it's on? If it works. I'm going to college.
Who is that?
Hey, what's with the used books?
What's wrong with used books?
They've already been read.
Say it! Say it!
Good teacher. He really seems to care. About what, I have no idea.
Say when.
Right after this drink. Rodney Dangerfield. Back to School. Rated PG-13.
See, they did an extremely goofy movie 14 years before Disney did it. And it's kind of like that, except there's obviously notable differences. But the story centers around a wealthy but uneducated father, played by Rodney Dangerfield, who goes to college to show solidarity with his discouraged son, Jason, played by Keith Gordon, and learns that he cannot buy an education or happiness. And this is about what you'd expect from a really great Rodney Dangerfield movie in general. In fact, this was one of those movies where, it's one of those movies where it just fits perfectly because you got comedy legends you got legends all over the film, not just comedy legends. I mean, you see Rodney Dangerfield, you see the late great Sam Kinison, late great Rodney Dangerfield too, but you have a cast also includes Sally Kellerman, Burt Young, Terry Farrell, William Zabka, Ned Beatty, Robert Downey Jr., M. Emmett Walsh, Adrienne Barbeau. I mean, it's a movie that just works because everyone is so game on this, and the film knows exactly what type of a movie it is, and it just goes along with it for the ride. I mean, this is one of those classic movies you used to see on TV all the time. I know this was on Comedy Central and TBS back in the day, and I watched it many times. I love Rodney Dangerfield, man. I've talked about a lot of his movies in the past and also in the present when I did Time About the Movies. Even the ones that weren't that great, like Meet Wally Sparks or Rover Dangerfield, I still have a soft spot for them because of just how much I love Rodney Dangerfield overall. And this is a movie where it just works on so many levels. I mean, it's a great film. It's a really funny film. It's a movie that doesn't ask you to think too much about it. Just wants you to go in, have a good time with it. And the end result is one of those great movies that just works so well. What more can you say, man? It's a classic Rodney Dangerfield movie. Take it for what it is. And it's just such a good time overall, so... speaking of movies that were such a great fun time overall, this was a pretty good weekend for comedy because the next movie is arguably one of the best movies of 1986, and that is, of course, the John Hughes classic, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Paramount Pictures presents a new film by John Hughes, starring Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, that's me.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
He gives good kids bad ideas.
He's such a sweetie.
The story of one man's struggle to take it easy.
He's a righteous dude.
Rated PG-13. Now playing at a theater near you.
And the second movie this weekend to feature feature Twist and Shout, because the soundtrack for Back to School also has that song in there, and of course it plays during the big parade in this scene. But another movie I really can't talk too much more about, because what more can you really say about it, man? This is, of course, the story of Ferris Bueller, played by Matthew Broderick, who's a charismatic high school slacker who lives in Chicago and skips school with his best friend Cameron, Alan Ruck, and his girlfriend Sloane, Mia Sarah, for a day, regularly breaking the fourth wall to explain his techniques and inner thoughts. And much like Back to School, it has a stacked cast of great people all across the board. Jennifer Grey, Pre-Dirty Dancing, Edie McClure, Jeffrey Jones, Cindy Pickett, Charlie Sheen. I mean, again, there really is not much more I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said already. I mean, yeah, Matthew Broderick usually gets a bad rap as an actor as a whole. I don't think he's that bad. He's been in some stuff that's not been great, but the guy has won many awards for Tony Awards and has proven time and time again he can be a really good actor. This is just him at his absolute best here. I mean, this is really, really some of the best stuff you can expect from a guy like him, and also from John Hughes in general. I mean, this was kind of, in a way, it's kind of the slow but surely turning point for John Hughes' directing career. Because before this, of course, he had done stuff like 16 Candles, Weird Science, The Breakfast Club, and now he's slowly starting to turn into, because his next movie would be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. slowly beginning that turn into becoming the more serious director that he would become in his last couple of years. Well, not serious, like making more adult movies in general. This was the last of his teen-based movies that he did, and he put more of the focus on the slapstick comedy, because he would follow this up with The Great Outdoors with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd, Christmas Vacation, Home Alone. I mean, it's a classic movie, man. I really can't say too much more about it that hasn't already been said already. I mean, if you haven't seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off at this point, what are you doing with your life, man? Just seriously, what are you doing with your life? So we've covered a couple of big movies that most of you have already seen, but most of you have probably not seen our next movie, and that is The Manhattan Project.
It's a brilliant achievement.
He'd get the Nobel if he could publish.
Publish?
I said if.
All right, set him up. Someplace quiet, away from prying eyes.
Paul, come say hi. Dr. Matheson, this is my son, Paul.
He's hot for my mother. He figures I'm a dumb kid.
He's hot for your mother, really?
Uh-huh. He's got all these security clearances. I don't know what they are. Los Alamos, Oak Ridge.
What is that?
What does it look like?
5-leaf clover. Where'd you find it?
Growing outside that lab. You know the odds on that kind of mutation happening naturally without chemicals or radiation or something? It's like 1,000,000,000 to 1. It never happens.
Maybe you're just very lucky. Who knows about this?
Just us.
We should do something.
We can get in there. What can they do to us anyway? We're kids. It's a prank, right?
A and B card are just both went at once.
What's happening?
It's Paul. Hate to go in there, Charlie. They got stuff in there that zaps you right out.
Any idea who he's working with? I don't think he's working with anybody. I think he did it by himself.
Who are these people?
Does he feel that people don't like him?
That he's special, different.
Is he unhappy with the present political system?
They can't do anything to me.
Why not?
I'm underage.
What do you think this is, a school play? You could start a war, for God's sake. Stop screwing around before it's too late.
The package has arrived, and it's hot.
You don't know what you took, Paul. I do not want him off the premises with that gadget. Do you copy?
Give me a clear shot behind the ear, and I'll turn him off like a switch.
Paul!
Dead. I'm not just talking about the kid, I mean everybody, because, yeah, he's carrying an atomic bomb in there, so if he shoots him, then we're all pretty much dead at that point. I never saw this movie until this past week, and I'm glad I kind of did, because it was pretty awesome. The Manhattan Project. This is a film about a gifted high school student played by Christopher Collette, who's decided to construct an atomic bomb for a national science fair. And of course, you have John Lithgow as kind of the boyfriend to his mother, who's trying to connect with them. You have Cynthia Nixon in one of her early film roles as his girlfriend, and you have Jill Eikenberry as his mother, and you see the chaos that comes from this whole thing. And you can definitely tell they're taking a lot from War Games a couple years prior, because how do you have this young kid who's able to do all this stuff that he's able to do in that movie? And it's kind of that same formula here. But this one, unfortunately, was not a big hit, and it's pretty obvious why when you realize that around that same time, there was a nuclear disaster in Chernobyl, Russia, that took place not but 2 months after this movie came out. So instead of 20th Century Fox realizing that, oh shit, maybe we ought to push this back until this whole thing gets settled, they're just like, nope, just put it out there. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? People don't go to see it, and yeah, $18 million movie, which only brought in $4 million at the box office. It didn't even bring back a fourth of its budget back, so yeah. That was a mistake on their part to do that. But of course, the movie did eventually find a cult following, and it is a very intriguing movie. It's a very interesting film where you have this kid who doesn't really like the fact that John Lithgow's dating his mother, and so you have this whole thing where, he's trying to figure out how to get by all these people without letting on the fact that he's got this nuclear weapon on him. He doesn't really seem to think about it at first, but you have people telling him, dude, you have potentially something that's going to destroy the world. And it's just like, whatever. It's another Tuesday. It's directed by Marshall Brickman, who wrote a lot of Woody Allen movies and had directed a couple of films, Simon and Lovesick. But this was his last film as a director, and he would mostly go back to writing movies in general. He wrote For the Boys, The Manhattan Murder Mystery, Intersection. He wrote the screenplay for Jersey Boys, not just the movie, but also the musical, and also he did the Addams Family musical as well. And, yeah, it was a very interesting movie. It's a very engaging film. It's a movie that does keep you on the edge of your seat thinking about what's going to happen next. And, yeah, it doesn't pull any punches. I mean, it's a movie that really is something that was something that it had it not been so poorly timed with a real event that was going on, this thing could have been a big hit in general, but unfortunately it just kind of got overlooked. But it did find a cult following over the years, and I think it definitely deserved that. It was a really good film. One I definitely recommend checking out if you haven't seen it. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and that is Bob Hoskins in Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, men have named you. You're so like the lady.
I think that pretty much sums it up right there. You have Bob Hoskins, who's an ex-convict, who becomes entangled in the dangerous life of a high-called class girl, played by Kathy Tyson. Michael Caine is also in the movie, too. This is directed by Neil Jordan, his third film as a director, and it's a movie that doesn't get as much attention that you think it would, but it's a notable movie for a couple of reasons. One, it's the movie that basically kind of introduced everybody to Bob Hoskins before he eventually went on to become the big star with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And it's also a very engaging thriller in general, with these really good performances all across the board. And Neil Jordan does a very good job of showing his capabilities as a director in this. And it's a very intriguing movie. It's a film that has a lot of good performances, a movie that does keep you on the edge of your seat as it's going along. And it's a really, really solid film. It's a really good movie that's reflective of the time period. It should be right up there with some of those great neo-noir classics of the time period. And it works so well, man. It's a really good film. It's a film that is very well done. It's not trying to be something that was something of the times. It's being its own unique thing, while also kind of being listed in that same category as something like what Brian De Palma was doing with his movies, as well as other films like, Blowout, and also, what was another one that was kind of, James Caan and Thief, like these slick neo-noir thrillers that very much are from the 80s, but feel like they're new twist on old classic films in general, because there's even a little bit of Casablanca thrown in there if you really look at it overall, and even a little bit of Taxi Driver too if you really want to think about it. But yeah, it's a really good film. It's one I do recommend checking out, especially if you like Bob Hoskins' work and you've never seen the movie that kind of pushed him into the film that kind of led him to that big role of his in Roger Rabbit. This is definitely the movie to see it in. I mean, this is a really good film. Can't recommend it enough. Mona Lisa is a great film. And so, with all that said, that's going to wrap up this episode of Time About the Movie's Flashback. And next time we meet, Arnold Schwarzenegger is back with not one of his more successful movies, Raw Deal, which, yeah, got a raw deal at the box office, specifically because of a little movie that we'll get to in a couple of weeks' time. But we have a couple of movies that weren't big hits back then, but did eventually go on to have cult followings, including Space Camp, Invaders from Mars, and, of course, how could you forget the classic My Little Pony the movie? Not the new My Little Pony the movie, the original My Little Pony the movie, before the days of the bronies and Friendship is Magic. No, this was the My Little Pony movie that was clearly not made for the same fans of Friendship is Magic. But we'll touch on that one as well. 4 movies to kick off June 1986 as we wrap up June 1986 as we go backwards in time. But with all of that said, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, subscribe button, and notification button. Check out the previous episode we did. Check out the playlist, too. And with all that said, I will see you guys next week. So until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.